Alright, so these are brand new lessons, and what do I cover first? Well, I'm a teacher by trade, so I kind of think about what you need as far as tools are concerned. First, go out, get your tools, and then get organized. Okay? If you don't get organized right off the bat, you're going to be a hot mess in this field because there's no containing the amazing that we are. There's sometimes that it's everywhere. So you can see little bits here. See little bits. Here's a Q-tip, right? Here's some stones out here. Here's a thing filled with gator clip heads. And this is just a sample. So if you aren't organized, this is going to be everywhere. Second thing is you're going to need some of your not only tools but your chemistry. I do teach a class in electroforming how to mix the liquid. That's still good. That's still on my website, so I'll put a link below. But I'm going to cover some of the composition world of things. So conductive paint and conductive ink are the two most used things in chemistry that we use, and we have to mix them all the time. Okay, so I'm going to cover those. Even though I've covered them in the past, I'm trying to get this organized. And since 2009, I've been electroforming, and we're talking I have 9 tanks, and those 9 tanks have 5 gallons each, and I can crank out to about 100 to 150 pieces a week. I supply 5 stores, and I teamed up with another artist, and we do vending opportunities too. So we're talking a lot of volume, and big, huge pieces and small pieces with lots of detail, all across the board. Just to give you an idea of what's going on here. Ink is something you're going to be using a lot more than the paint. So we're going to learn how to use that first. So when you get graphite's everywhere, and in the past I've covered things about graphite and its conductivity. Okay, one of the things I also learned in my time since that video is mesh count. Okay, mesh count is important because how tight the graphite goes onto a surface or mixes in with a liquid dictates how conductive it will be. So make sure that it's a 400 mesh. Okay? Minimum 400 mesh. Now graphite is super bad for you. Okay, this is not a good product to get in your lungs. The powder will never go away. It's kind of like a forever thing. You get it in your lungs, you're going to be you start seeing that you're coughing, but we're talking this is going to last you the rest of your life. So wear a mask whenever you mix this paint or ink. Okay, so there we go. What mask? Well, you can get the one with the 2 pads. I don't want to recommend the wrong mask. So I want you to do the research on the right mask for you. Keep in mind, graphite is especially with a 400 mesh, you're going to want something that's pretty expensive to mix with that thing, especially if you're airbrushing. If you're airbrushing this product onto your pieces, you need top of the line mask. Okay, so there we go. Do some research a little bit. Graphite powder, the type of mask you need for it. I will recommend the product. I do like this Pure brand. It's easy to get. It's in bulk. Now, one time I recommended General's powder, and the General's pencil company decided, hey, we're no longer going to produce that anymore, and they stopped producing it. And then it got really super expensive too. They did bring it back onto the market, and it was super expensive, and it wasn't as good quality as it was back in 2010, 11 when I stocked up on it, thank gosh. All right, so here's how it goes. You need some spoons or some kind of something to dig out graphite. I usually mix in here, okay? This is important. You need a shaker bottle. These are paint bottles for cars. You can see it has a marble. It has to be a glass marble, no metal, no stainless steel, no nothing, glass, okay? Always glass. You have a couple marbles if you want. Sometimes I'll steal another marble from another one to put in here. You can get these on Amazon. The brush is trash. We don't use those, but you can keep the brush in a pinch. And then you're going to need a binder agent. Binder agent. Well, what's that? That is anything that you can mix a liquid in, or no, a powder in, or a liquid, that will allow it to adhere to or bind it together onto a surface. Okay, so Speedball Black, Super Black, is a great binder agent. Boop. What I usually do is powder first. Now you can mix this 50-50. 50-50 is good for airbrush, and then maybe a little higher than that if you want to brush it on. This stuff is messy. I'm going to try to do this over the container. So all I'm doing is I'm scooping this in here, and you can see that it fills it to a certain line. Right about here is where I'm kind of aiming. If I want to do airbrushing, I generally go to about right here, and then if I want to do painting, I do about right to here. There is really no set formula, and you're going to get it to the point where you like it how you like it. I'll show you how to measure it, the conductivity of it, which is kind of important, but not really important. I used to be really worked up over how conductive things are, but later on, I really learned that it's just slightly conductive, it will grow copper on the surface. I proved that with many of the stones, especially ruby. Garnet. Garnet has a little bit of metal in it, and it does like to grow copper on it. It's super slight though. You can't even pick it up using a multimeter. Okay, so there we go. Got powder. There we go. Then just screw on this lid. Shake it. And you hear that? Like when I shake it, all of a sudden it stopped making noise, right? So that's telling me that I might have too much graphite. But once you go like that a few times, you're going to find out now you have space for more ink. There's two ways to gauge, in my humble opinion, that sound, my ears, and the other one is a drop count. And then lastly, what I do is I spread it on a surface of glass and get it and hold it up to the light after it dries to see how well, how tight it is. Does light pass through it? And then another one is after that is I'll measure its conductivity using a multimeter. So there we go. I'll cover all those, so I'll be right back. So here's a a piece of picture frame glass. It's matte on one side and gloss on the other. So just use the glossy side because what you want to do is gauge its adhesion level. So as I said, this brush is trash, so you might want a good maybe camel hair brush would be really good. And you can see the texture. See how like it's got a texture to it? Now that texture will compile. So if it's got a little bit of a texture to it, it will add dendrites to that area when you're growing a plate on it, and then it'll keep building and building and building. And sometimes it will never recover from that, and the dendrites will give it either a matte surface or it'll just be bumpy or something like that. So if you airbrush it on, you'll have less dendritic growth in that area. But if you want a texture or to promote texture, you can use a brush and use a really crappy brush, and boom, you got better texture. So I'm going to let this dry. Alright, so if you have a multimeter, you just turn it on. Go to ohms, see the little horseshoe, okay, grab your leads, and it's measured in centimeters, so centimeters, it's how conductive it is per centimeter. So 16K, jumping all over. And I'm lightly pressing here. And as I said, between 16 and 28. Okay, good enough. It really is. That's good enough. Now again, see how light passes through it. So can I see through it? And yes, see that? So when you can see through it like that, it might need a little bit more graphite. Okay, that will work though. Just know that if it's just like this, you might get a little bit more texture. So kind of gotta play with that, the ratio of it being on a surface, having that texture. Here's the other thing. See how now I didn't wait a whole lot of time for that to dry. So in that area, it's kind of weak, but I can't scratch this off. So the area that did dry, it's got good adhesion. So sometimes the adhesion is more important than the coverage. You just get a little bit of graphite in an area, and it's a way to go. But if it's denameling off the surface, you need more ink. So denameling means that it's peeling off the surface as it's plating. All right, all kinds of cool terms. So I think that was a lot. We covered ink. Okay, how to make conductive ink. If you want it a little bit thinner, you can spread it through an airbrush. If you want it thicker, you can paint it on. The adhesion level, how to gauge it, what products to use, and again, Indie ink, Speedball brand, really works good. I don't think I've ever used anything other than Speedball. And the mesh count is important on the graphite. All right, cool. I hope you enjoyed the video, and then we'll cover like paint maybe in the next one.